Buongiorno, welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to talk about 21 fragrances that are the best of all the fragrances that I bought in 2021. I actually bought more than 100 fragrances in the last year. Yes, I was shocked when I did my calculation and I found out how many fragrances did I buy last year. So it was quite difficult to do this list, but at the end here I am, and I have here all the 21 fragrances that are just the best of the best. Of course, not all of them are new releases, so it's a mix of new and old fragrances that I added to my collection in 2021. So I'm not going to talk too much, and let's start right away with the list because this video is going to be a little bit long. And let's start the list by this beauty. This is Nobile 1942, La Danza delle Libellule. This is an Italian niche brand. By the way, all the fragrances that I'm going to mention are not in order. It was too difficult to rank the 21 fragrances, but definitely this is in the top 10 for sure. This is a beautiful gourmand cinnamon apple pie fragrance. This was love at first sniff. At first I had a decant of this fragrance and I immediately fell in love with it. And that is coming from a person that does not like sweet fragrances. If you like gourmand, fruity, and especially cinnamon in your fragrances, then definitely you have to check this fragrance. And the best part about this fragrance is the price. And Nobile 1942 in general is a reasonable priced niche brand. I can't wait to discover more of their fragrances because this one just blew me away. It really quickly entered my top 10 fragrances for life, and that says a lot considering my collection. So that was Nobile 1942, La Danza delle Libellule. And since we are talking about cinnamon and gourmand fragrances, next one has the same vibe. This is Oajan from Parfums de Marly. This is a cinnamon bomb. You really have to love it in fragrances to appreciate this fragrance. I personally adore cinnamon, so this was love at first sniff. I wouldn't say it's a strict gourmand, but it has a gourmand touch to it. Mostly you get here the cinnamon, but also a good dose of honey, osmanthus, benzoin, vanilla, tonka bean. Just a delicious fragrance. And if you don't like honey, don't worry. It's not the sticky, overly sweet honey that you will find, for example, in fragrances like Scandale by Jean-Paul Gaultier. Amazing fragrance. It's actually from the men collection from Parfums de Marly, but I personally find it totally unisex, even leaning a little bit feminine, to be honest. This is for me the best fragrance from Parfums de Marly, hands down. It has an amazing longevity and sillage. This is a beast mode fragrance. So I would say this is definitely worth the price tag. So Oajan from Parfums de Marly. Next is a fragrance that I believe I did not talk about yet. This is from Atelier des Ors, Rouge Saray. Another gourmand, so beautiful and addictive. This is a woody fragrance mixed with a lot of almost sticky dried fruits. Again, it has the cinnamon note, but it's not so present like in Oajan and La Danza delle Libellule. Mostly here you get the dates, you get plum, but more of the dry plum, not the fresh plum. A nice dose of vanilla. It would have been overly sweet for my taste if it wasn't for the beautiful guaiac wood and sandalwood in this fragrance. Amazing for winter time, and can we just take a moment and appreciate this bottle? These are actually a real gold specs. I actually have a buying guide on Atelier des Ors that I didn't upload yet, and I just didn't get to edit that video, so I hope in the coming days I will share with you all the amazing fragrances from that brand. But for me, Rouge Saray is my absolute favorite. Let's continue with niche fragrances, and the next one is another winter fall favorite of mine. This is Winter Palace from Memo. Now, Memo is another brand that I discovered in 2021 and I immediately fell in love with it. My favorite. This is absolutely my favorite niche brand. This is a beautiful tea, citrusy, warm, sweet fragrance. This is exactly as if you are drinking some black tea with some lemon cake. Very, very cozy and a unique tea fragrance. I've never smelled any tea fragrance similar to this one. So you can describe it as a gourmand tea fragrance for sure. I love to wear this one when I want to feel cozy, maybe wintertime or fall time when it's a little bit cold outside. This is my go-to fragrance. So as you can see from my description, this is not a very long lasting or a very projecting fragrance. It's more of a weak to moderate longevity and sillage, but I absolutely adore it. If you are looking for a unique black tea fragrance, you can't go wrong with this one. It's not the best seller of the brand or the one that everybody talks about, but I found this one in a lot of people's collection with different tastes. So that says also a lot about it. And it's definitely my absolute favorite from the brand. So Winter Palace from Memo for a cozy, cold winter night. Another niche brand that I discovered last year is Serge Lutens. This is Feminite du Bois. This fragrance is not everybody's cup of tea. It's one of the fragrances that entered perfume history because it was a revolutionary in the time to use cedar for women fragrances. And definitely cedar is here a very predominant note, but you will get also a nice dose of plum again, some spiciness because there is clove and cinnamon, some floral touches, violet I think, and rose, but mostly, especially on my skin, what I get is the cedar and the plum with a touch of spiciness. Definitely not a safe blind buy. You really have to test this fragrance because not only is it not everybody's cup of tea, but it has a slight vintage touch to it. Has a moderate longevity and sillage, I would say. This fragrance I love mostly because every time I smell it, I feel like it's a part of me. It's very difficult to explain how I feel when I smell this fragrance. Maybe, I don't know, maybe it's in a memory or something in my childhood that someone wore this fragrance or something like that. I have no idea, but every time I smell this fragrance, I feel like it's a part of myself. Or maybe it represents something in me, no idea. But for that reason, this is definitely one of my best purchases in 2021. Feminite du Bois from Serge Lutens. Another niche fragrance that I absolutely adore is Amouage Honor. This is a creamy gardenia fragrance. So you do have to love white florals to appreciate this one. This is gardenia in a bottle. Doesn't have this green touch that a lot of gardenia fragrances have. So as I said, it's quite creamy, very long lasting and quite projecting, perfect for a wedding. Not because the bottle is white, but the smell is just, yeah, a little bit romantic and whimsical in a way. Anyway, so Amouage honor for a perfect wedding fragrance. Last niche fragrance I have here, Vanilla Vibes from Juliette Has a Gun. Totally different to the previous fragrances that I talked about. This is a very beautiful vanilla salty fragrance. And let me start by saying this is not your typical vanilla salty fragrance that is similar to Olympia from Paco Rabanne. I hate Olympia actually. This one is so special. It's like summer vacation beach vibe without using coconut, without being too sweet or having the suntan lotion vibe to it. Has a moderate longevity and sillage, and Juliette Has a Gun in general, again as a niche brand, has reasonable prices, I would say. I have now quite a lot of Juliette Has a Gun, but I think my absolute favorite must be Vanilla Vibes. And I also love the bottles. This is so beautiful. Love, love, love. Now let's move to private collections of designer fragrances. I will just start by La Collection Prive from Christian Dior. I have here 3 fragrances. The first one is Gris Dior. This is an extremely classy fragrance with a big dose of moss, so it's a little bit earthy, but in the best way possible. This fragrance for me is a masterpiece. This is a rose patchouli fragrance combined with moss. It's really unexpected. If you read the notes, you will have like a picture in your head of how this fragrance would smell like, and it's definitely nothing like what you can, at least what I have imagined. Beautiful longevity and sillage. It has, let's say, from moderate to strong longevity with a moderate sillage. So Gris Dior, a signature scent for a classy woman. Next is actually a new release of 2021. As you can see, I already put quite a dent in this fragrance. This is Vanilla Diorama. Again, a vanilla fragrance that I absolutely adore. It's warm, it's cozy, it's inviting. Again, a fragrance that I usually wear when I want to feel cozy, especially in the cold days. It's just so addictive and such a beautiful fragrance. I know a lot of people were disappointed with this release. I absolutely love it. Mostly it's a vanilla fragrance, but you have a little bit of a spicy touch in it. You have cardamom, and you have also a beautiful note of orange. It has also a touch of booziness. I have a review of Vanilla Diorama, which I will leave linked up here and in the description down below if you want to watch it. The only bad thing I have to say about this fragrance is the longevity and sillage. It's just terrible. Let's be honest, it's definitely on the weak side. But if you spray it on clothes, it will remain for a long time, let's say, but it will not project very much. So if longevity and sillage is not a big issue for you, like for me, and you like gourmand fragrances and you love cardamom, definitely I would recommend Vanilla Diorama from La Collection Prive from Christian Dior. Last fragrance from that collection is also a new release. This is Eden Rock. Again, a fragrance that disappointed a lot of people, but I absolutely love it and adore it. This is a summer fragrance. It's mostly a mineral jasmine. This fragrance was released as an homage for a very famous hotel on the French Riviera. Again, not your typical beach fragrance. It has a salty note in it. It has also this unique mineral note that I think François Demachy put in this fragrance to recreate the atmosphere because that hotel was sitting on a rock, like on a cliff. I also get like the Mediterranean vegetation because there is pine here. They mention coconut as one of the notes on Fragrantica. I don't get it really. Maybe the coconut gives this fragrance a little bit of a touch of creaminess because it does have a slight touch of creaminess. If you look up the notes and you thought that this is like your typical coconut, salty, beachy fragrance, this is not it at all. I have a full review of this fragrance, which I will leave linked up here and in the description down below if you want to watch it. The only bad thing again that I have to mention is a very bad longevity and sillage, even if you spray on clothes. So I love it, but I do have to mention that this is a very bad fragrance when it comes to performance. Some of my subscribers told me that it did last on their skin and they would consider it a moderate longevity and sillage. I personally did not have this experience, and I know a lot of people didn't have also great luck with longevity, with performance with this fragrance, but still I like it. So that is Eden Rock from La Collection Privée from Christian Dior. Next is the Armani Private Collection or Armani Prive, and I have again 3 fragrances. And let's start by this one. This is Pivoine Suzhou, and very beautiful peony floral fragrance that is just perfect for spring and summer. I love it so much. Peony is one of my favorite notes in fragrances. I do have a video on the best peony fragrances, which I will leave linked up here and in the description down below. And to be honest, I was debating if I should include this one or Pivoine from Maison Lancôme, but at the end I decided to go with this one. If what I like about Pivoine is the beautiful pink pepper. This actually has also pink pepper in the notes, but mostly what I like about this one is the beautiful combination of rose, peony and raspberry. So it's a little bit sweet and not so spicy like Pivoine Printemps. It's just for me spring in a bottle. Very happy, uplifting, fun fragrance. Has a moderate longevity and sillage. This line in general is not very long lasting, so the clear bottle from Armani Prive, it's actually an eau de toilette if I'm not mistaken. So if you love peony and you are looking for a fun, uplifting spring fragrance, then this one is for you. Pivoine Suzhou. Next one is from a different collection of the Armani Prive line. This is Ambre Eccentrico. As the name suggests, one of my absolute favorite amber fragrances of all time. I feel like I'm repeating myself because this one has again cinnamon, plum, dried fruits, but here the amber is really amped up. So if the other ones that I've mentioned are more of a gourmand, this I wouldn't consider a gourmand fragrance, although has an edible feel to it. Like really the amber here is just gorgeous, combined with the sweetness of the dried fruit and the plum and the cinnamon, of course. It's just amazing. One of, I would say, must-have fragrances if you love amber. This one has an amazing longevity and sillage. Like this one, if you spray on clothes, would not go away until you wash your clothes. I wouldn't recommend overspraying it because it can be a little bit suffocating, so beware of that. So that was Ambre Eccentrico from Armani Prive. Next one is Musc Shamal. This is a very unique fragrance. When you first spray it, you may not like it. I personally didn't like it the first time I sprayed it. It has aldehydes in the notes, so I got a lot of the aldehydes. It smells when you first spray it like a detergent. Yeah, it's clean, but like a detergent. So I did not like this fragrance at all. But, however, wait for the dry down because the dry down is just magical. It gets more warm and the musk really shines. I heard some people describes the musk here as a creamy, milky musk. I wouldn't necessarily say that. It has this clean but yet warm musk. So it's not like the musk used in Narciso Rodriguez. You also get a little bit of the ambery touch in the dry down, but still, although warm and you have a little bit of amber and everything, still it remains a clean fragrance. So this is why I actually love to wear this one for bed, and it's definitely not everybody's cup of tea, so definitely sample this one before buying it. So for a unique musk fragrance, check out Musc Shamal from Armani Prive. Now let's move to Tom Ford. And I was quite shocked actually that I have 3 Tom Fords in this list. Let's start with this one since we are in winter. Tobacco Vanille. I never understood the hype behind this fragrance, to be completely honest. But then my taste changed. This fragrance, for me at least, really shines in the dry down. The opening could be a little bit off-putting for some people. It's mostly tobacco and vanilla, as the name suggests, but it has also a big dose of dried fruit. It seems like it's one of the notes that I absolutely love in fragrances. It has also a spicy touch. There's also cacao, if I'm not mistaken. It's a very dense, thick fragrance. Totally unisex. An amazing beast mode, actually, let's say it. It's a beast mode when it comes to longevity and sillage. This one is quite potent, and it's not for the faint of heart, for sure. It's very unique and one of the best tobacco fragrances, in my opinion, hands down. So Tobacco Vanille. Next I have Soleil Blanc. This is a cult favorite, and for a reason. I also have the Eau de Toilette version. I know a lot of people say they are very similar. They are similar, but I do prefer Soleil Blanc. It has a touch more of this creaminess that comes from the coconut. This is your bougie summer fragrance. It's again beachy, summery, but in a very classy, sophisticated way. It has a lot of notes actually, but mostly what you can distinguish is a floral touch, this creaminess that comes from coconut, but honestly, when I smell this fragrance, I really can't pinpoint any note. I remember there was pistachio also in this one. Yeah, I can't detect it. To be honest, it's just a beautiful fragrance that is perfectly blended, that screams summer and class. So for a bougie summer fragrance, definitely check Soleil Blanc from Tom Ford. Next is a fragrance from Tom Ford, but on the affordable side. This is Noir Extrême. This is a very sexy gourmand fragrance. It has a big dose of cardamom. So you really have to love cardamom for this fragrance. This is actually targeted to men. So there is Noir and Noir Extrême. Noir Extrême is targeted to men, if I'm not mistaken, and Noir pour Femme is the women targeted one. I personally prefer the Extrême, only because it has a bigger dose of cardamom, and I love cardamom, and it's also not so sweet like Noir pour Femme. So if you love very sweet fragrances, then definitely go for Noir pour Femme. And if you love more spice, then Noir Extrême is for you. It has a note of kulfi. It's like an Indian gelato infused with cardamom. It also has nutmeg and saffron. So you really have to love spicy fragrances in general also to appreciate this fragrance. When it comes to longevity and sillage, in my experience, Noir pour Femme is much more long lasting. It's actually beast mode fragrance. My experience. This one I would not say that. It's mostly moderate longevity and sillage. Again, Noir pour Femme or Noir Extrême, Both are very beautiful, sweet, gourmand, with a hefty dose of cardamom and spices in general. And for me, this is my go-to for date night, for an occasion that I want to feel a little bit more sexy. So Tom Ford Noir Extrême. Speaking about date night and sexy fragrances, next one is La Belle from Jean Paul Gaultier. This is a very sweet pear vanilla fragrance, but it's really beautiful and I absolutely love it. You can see it, how much a dent I have here on my bottle. And that says a lot for a sweet fragrance. I am not a fan of sweet fragrances in general. I have some exceptions and this one is one of them. It's fruity. The pear note here is just amazing. It is balanced out with the beautiful vetiver note, long-lasting, projects like crazy. This is one of the best designer fragrances in my opinion. There is a new version, Le Parfum, which came out last year. I have a comparison and a review, which I will leave linked up here if you want to watch it. I was really unsure which one to include, but at the end I went with this one because I can wear this one almost all year round, while Le Parfum is very dark and also beautiful and I love it, but it's more of a winter fragrance. So if I had to choose one, I would choose this one, but I have both and I love them both. So Jean Paul Gaultier La Belle. Next is a fragrance that I discovered recently. This is Gucci Guilty Absolute Parfum. I'm not sure if this fragrance is going to be discontinued or not, because I'm finding it discounted suddenly on a lot of websites and like heavily discounted. So I don't know if they are going to discontinue it. I hope they are not. Again, not everybody's cup of tea. This is a rose patchouli composition, but with big dose of berries and woody notes. So imagine maybe like Lalique Amethyst, but make it a little bit darker and add woody notes or a woody base to it. This is how this fragrance smells. I actually did a comparison between Gucci Guilty Absolute Parfum, Meliora from Parfum de Marly and Lalique Amethyst that I will upload very soon. So if you are interested in that, then yeah, stay tuned and don't forget to subscribe and also hit the notification bell. Anyway, this fragrance is, for me, has this gothic dark vibe to it. It's a very dark rose, but very unique and very sophisticated at the same time. Amazing performance. So for a designer fragrance, I was quite shocked with this one. So Gucci Guilty Absolute Parfum if you are looking for a dark gothic rose fragrance. Next, I'm going to cheat a little bit because I'm going to include two fragrances in one. So this is Prada La Femme. I have La Femme, the original one, and also the Intense version. Both I love. Both are very feminine fragrances. The original one has a beautiful frangipani, ylang ylang. I think there is also jasmine or magnolia, I don't remember, but it's mostly this is a frangipani fragrance with a sweet touch that comes from beeswax. Don't worry if you hear beeswax, because it's just so beautiful in this fragrance. It's not waxy or it's not sticky. It adds to this bouquet of flowers a sweetness that is just so beautiful. So if you love floral fragrances and you want to smell feminine, definitely Prada La Femme is for you. The Intense version, I would say, is also a frangipani. Tuberose, ylang ylang, you know, all this beautiful flower from Prada La Femme minus the beeswax. So to me, this one smells more floral if you compare it with this one. Both are floral fragrances if you compare it with Prada La Femme, and it's also more tropical. So if this is like your everyday fragrance, for me this is a little bit tropical, but still you can wear it every day. It's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful fragrance, one of my best discoveries in 2021, hands down. Prada La Femme Intense. Another discovery that blew me away in 2021 is Bulgari Acqua Divina. I have to thank Veronica from Veronica Says channel. I will leave her channel link down below for this fragrance. I blind bought it and I did not regret it at all. A very beautiful summer fragrance, a little bit salty, but this time it's not like a vanilla salty fragrance or a coconut fragrance. This is magnolia, quince and salt. This is the notes that I can say I detect in this fragrance. But it's so beautiful and so summery and refreshing. Yeah, I just can't describe this fragrance. You have to test it for yourself. It's so beautiful. Love the bottle and everything. But it's discontinued. You still can find it, by the way. You can find it in a lot of stores and also online. But unfortunately, this is a discontinued one. So I would highly recommend you test this fragrance, and if you like it, buy it, because I don't know for how long this fragrance will be still available. Has a moderate longevity and sillage, which is actually great for an eau de toilette fragrance of this kind of composition. This is a must. Like, this fragrance is a must and always has to be in my collection, so I will definitely get a backup bottle. Acqua Divina from Bulgari. Last fragrance is Mandarine Basilic from Guerlain. That this fragrance can compete with all the fragrances that I mentioned says a lot. This is so refreshing. A very beautiful, refreshing, citrusy fragrance with a touch of aromatic. It's mainly basil and mandarin. I just can't help myself. When I smell this fragrance, you can see I have a big smile on my face. It's like a sip of a very cold, icy water during the hot, humid summer days. This is how this fragrance feels to me. If you are looking for a fresh, citrusy summer fragrance, you can't go wrong with Mandarine Basilic. It's one of the best citrusy fragrances. I, again, have a whole list of the best citrusy summer fragrances. I will leave it linked up here in the description down below if you want to watch my selection of citrusy fragrances. So with that, I finished all the 21 fragrances. Originally, I had 33 fragrances in my list, and it was quite a process to eliminate a lot of them. But I'm quite happy with what I selected. Now, these are my top fragrances that I bought in 2021. And since now I know how many fragrances I bought last year, definitely I'm not going to buy so much in the coming year. Mainly I bought a lot of fragrances because I was still building my collection, and I think now I can slow down and think more about what fragrances I include to my collection. So that was it. Please tell me in the comments down below what is your absolute favorite purchase in 2021. I hope you liked this video and you found it helpful, and if you did, please give it a thumb up and consider subscribing to my channel. Also hit that notification bell because I have quite exciting videos coming next days, so make sure to hit that bell so you will not miss any video. Thanks a lot for watching and see you next time. Ciao!